All right, guys, we are finally back. It was a long, arduous month. We had built a tool, we had created a video, and we realized that there were some problems with it. So we had to gut it and reset everything, and we rebuilt it, and now we're back. So without further ado, what I want to do is first introduce one of the things we've changed is the new website. So since the rebranding to zkRace, we did create zkRacers.com. That's going to take you to this website. And then from here, there's going to be information like you'll notice the top kings, all the songs we've been making or having fun making, new player resources for if you want to share this with new people to join in, information about the rally, all that's available. So then as you go through here for team events, we'll eventually be having that there. But let's go ahead and skip over straight to the kings because that's the main concept of this. So
yeah, we wanted to launch a new game. We're always launching new tournaments and things like that, but it's really fun for us to create something that can be played consistently and not something that you just have to register once like a tournament and just wait and see what happens. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to introduce something called Kings.
Yep. And that's exactly right. And then the benefit of Kings, there's two really big benefits here. It's totally free. So there is no registration costs. There's nothing like that. You could play just as many times as you want. There is a minimum to get scored. And so what we're doing is we're tracking each horse. And in order to qualify as a king, which means that you have ran the fastest or the slowest on a specific TD. So there's 42 TDs in the game. So there's going to be 84 total kings. So if you run anytime on any of those tracks while you're registered, our system is going to monitor your horse. So let's say, for example, I suspect my horse is going to run a screamer because it's been running really poorly. So I could register and say to the system, I want you to pay attention to the next 10 races. During those 10 races, if you break a record on any TD, you will then go to the top of the board. Every single attempt that you run, those 10, are going to give a credit to that TD. So the more the popular TD, the higher the credits go. So if you become a king and other people are trying to take it from you, it's going to push those credits of that prize, which is just a point scoring system, up.
Yeah, something that I wanted to add on that is the points system is also doubled. So let's say, for instance, you decide that you've registered your horse to run its next 10 races. You decide to run all of them on one particular track. Now, we don't care which tracks you run, but if you decided to run them all on, say, a synth 7, and we track the next 10, those 10 points go into the synth 7. However, they get doubled. And that means that 10 of the points are going toward the leaderboard for champion races, but 10 points also go to the donkey races category, even if you weren't intending to run those. Because again, we're tracking your time. We're tracking to see if you go the fastest and or the slowest, which you could go the slowest in a champion race and actually end up on that particular king's leaderboard. So again, if you put in 10 runs for a particular horse, there's going to be 20 points that get divvied out to each of the tracks that you decide to run on.
That's absolutely correct. So on the site, you're going to see that this is the automated system. Now, our system updates every hour. G's data, which we're pulling for all this race data, updates every 4 hours. So just know that you might not see results. Just check back in. You'll see it there. This is going to update automatically, showing you when the season ends, which is just the last moment of the month. And then down below, it's going to rank the horses individually. So you could show up multiple times because this is per horse. So you'll see that the current leader is Sconnard Nesbitt, shows the horse ID 1418, and then the owner, not a vamp. Now, the ratio is how we're scoring this. The ratio is calculated by saying what would be the total prize or the points that you win by being the king, and then divide that by the total number of runs you've done within the system. And you'll notice that the ratio here is grayed out. That is because those horses have not yet run 100 attempts. If you do not run 100 attempts in the system, you are not registered, so you don't qualify at the end. So if you find out that you have an awesome ratio, make sure to bump your attempts up and be smart where you're running because you don't want to jack up your ratio. So there's going to be strategy, whether you want to snipe off when you think you're going to be high with your runs. Are you going to adjust to only run the tracks that you're currently the king to see if you could pad up those points to get your ratio better? There's all sorts of these little events that need to be done. But the goal of this game is that any horse technically can run a screamer. My no name, who is awfully slow. In our beta test, took the champion speed on the dirt to furlong, which just doesn't make any sense. But here, if it's all about timing, so if you're smart about managing your horses, you have a chance to pick it off and become king.
So let's actually, before we show how you can register for this, let's take a look at the actual leaderboard, just so you guys can get a feel for what this will look like. Now, we will be providing you links. They'll be on the site. They'll be with this video to be able to take a look at the full leaderboard. But this is where you're going to track which horses are currently in the top 5 spots for every single TD. And that's on Champ and on Donk. Now, the reason we want to lay this out like this is to give you an idea of just how close your horse is to breaking the record. Now, you may be in 3rd place, and you may say, you know what, I don't think my horse can go faster. Like, it might not be possible. But you may also feel that it is possible, and you're right on the verge of doing it, and you're going to want to run 10 more times and try to get those tracked. Keep in mind, we have to be tracking the race for it to count on the leaderboard. And that's as simple as filling out a quick jot form, which now we can jump back over to and take a look at. I wanted to make sure that people understood what they were going to be tracking and looking at. We want to know who you are, the horse that we're tracking, and how many runs you want us to track right now. And the reason why this isn't just going to be, let's say I type in 1,000, like you might be thinking, oh, I'm just going to track every race that I do this month, right? You got to remember the scoring is based on ratio. So you need to be very strategic about how many runs you do, because every award or reward points wise is going in that numerator and getting divided by the number of runs that we actually track. So you want to try to run once and win it, because that's going to be your best possible ratio. But we all know that's probably not realistic, and you're going to have to run more than one time.
That's right. Now, because some of you, like myself, really believe in cycles and think that's a part of the game, there are 2 buttons down below. I'm going to clean these up and make them prettier. But if you click on the King's tool, that's going to take you to the new tool that we also built to help you play this game more effectively. And the way that this tool works is you, again, make a copy so it's your own. You punch in your ID, the surface, and the furlong. What this system's going to do is it's going to look to the current leaders of those TDs. And it's going to show you your current champion is at this pace, the current donks at this pace, and then it looks at your own horse and goes back, is it 5 or 6 months of data?
4 months right now. We're doing 120 days worth of data.
Perfect. So we'll go back and we'll look at all your horses. So like my horse has ran 435 times, so it's a pretty good data set. And it's going to show you that historically in those 435 times or races, I have ran faster than the current champ pace 52% of the time. So it's highly likely that my horse can break this record. The donkey, only slower 11% of the time. So down below, it's keeping track of your odds, your upper and lower limits. That's your average pace. And then it's using your standard deviation going one away. So an upper limit 1 is your average plus 1 standard deviation, 2, 3. So it just shows you this is how slow you could potentially run. And then it calculates out how regular your horse does that and crudely estimates how many runs you probably need to do before your horse runs into a record. Those greens just simply mean that that would be scoring. So right now, based on this TD, I should probably throw down a couple credits and run on that turf 7. Highly likely my horse is going to become the champion and hold that for a period of time.
Yep. And now, looking at this, you're going to want to use a tool like this. Whether you use this one or your own tracking, that's up to you, obviously. But you're going to want to pay attention to when you've run, which ones have been tracked, and then keep an eye on the leaderboard to see if you've been displaced from that top spot. Because if you have, this is also going to tell you, and you can see it in it's B, is that 9 and 10, it's going to tell you whether or not you're the current leader in a particular data set. So for this month, we're looking at which ones are the leaders, and we're going to compare that to your time. It will also tell you approximately, how many runs it's been since the last time you ran a run that could beat the current leader. So in this particular one, on the champs, you're 1 race away. You did it 1 race ago, but you've been displaced now from the top spot. So that's just telling you that you may need to run it again. So there's a lot of tools here. The charting works left to right, showing you the ones on the left are the furthest back 4 months ago. The ones on the right are your more recent, and you can see whether or not you're trending up or down, and whether or not you want to start tracking a few more of those. And again, there's no cost to have us track it. This is all free, and we'll talk about prizes here in a second. But the cost to enter is nothing, but it other than being strategic. We are looking for the manager that knows their horses the best. And that means you don't just throw down 1,000 runs being tracked, because you might have only needed to throw down 10 to win what you want. And you want that ratio to climb.
Now, I want to throw out on this one. So going back to the site, so when you come over here to register, it's built in. So this is using that in-grade job form. Go ahead and put that in. You hit submit. It will immediately add your horse to the system, and then you're live. Now, if you were to open up the Google Docs, that would take you to this whole one. Something I want to show off here is in the winners section. We have this that's just keeping track of the total participation runs. And what I think is really important about this is that this whole platform of Kings is something that we've pitched to zkRace, where we think that this is an opportunity where they could take this kind of concept, embed it into the game, and it would allow a more interesting, we believe, leaderboard system, because you could have built-in prize pools. We've thought about how you could even have spectator guessing, where if I think that, like, hey, Bolt, I think is going to break a donkey record, and even though I'm not in control of that horse, if I want to submit that I want to take a guess and make a wager that there's that horse is going to break a record in the next 50, there'd be opportunity to have spectator play as well. This could pivot into a world where wagering systems and third-party organizations can get involved. So by participating in Kings regularly and routinely, and we could get those total event participations up, that's going to give us a lot to be able to go to zkRace and say, like, hey, look, this game is interesting. People are enjoying this. And look how many races have been accumulated from this one. So if you want to distribute prizes, like, use this to be able to reference it. So we hope that you guys like this. We're using this as kind of a sales pitch tool. But in the meantime, we think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the last point on that is that this month of September that we're unveiling this system, we're kind of treating it like a beta. We want to see how much you guys participate, how many races we get registered and tracked in the system. It'll give us a baseline for how big prizes should be or how small they should be if no one ends up using the tool. But to be able to get all of that information over the next 3-4 weeks is going to be invaluable, because we want to replicate this month to month. So that's the idea. We want to be able to pitch it to ZK and have them actually use it. But for now, the best thing you can do is take a look at the information that's provided, the links that are provided, get a feel for how the leaderboard looks, and then start registering to have your horses tracked.
Right now. It's going to be live. So we're going to, as soon as this is published, we'll be sharing everything. You guys can start registering right now. It will start playing right now. And then in this month, I have to finish and redo some of the automation for end of month closing. So just bear with us that there might be some testing. We'll try to keep it very open on Discord. But then if everything's successful at the end of this month, it should then just become routine and built in. So hopefully it's all hands off, but please get playing. Let's see how you guys do. And let's see who's the best at managing their horses playing Kings.
Yeah, so we're okay. I see where we're going with this. This is like it's a beta.
Yeah,
absolutely. Test. Okay. Did you confirm your? Oh yeah. You gotta start the video with that.
Oh, dude, this is even better. So Odin, when I picked him up from preschool yesterday, he apparently was doing drawing. He was just drawing these big black orbs, and the teacher didn't know what it was, and he was explaining that it's a Batmobile, and then there's a mask. The teacher just couldn't put things together, and then Odin tried to make a deep voice, and he was just like, I don't need candy, I need the Joker. That's my boy!